Good morning, everybody. I hope you're feeling okay today. Today for social studies, we're going to be talking about the last part, I lied, second to last part of the Iroquois Confederacy, and that is all about consensus. And consensus is really what their government was based on. So I made you this little PowerPoint. This is how I wanted my last ELA video to go, and it didn't quite work out. But I'm going to go through it, and let's see what we can find out about consensus, okay? It's important. So if I go to my next slide, then my face goes away, but I'll pull it back up when it's really important. Okay, so here we go. Consensus. Consensus is when everybody agrees on something, okay? So when a decision is made by consensus, it means that all of the people who are involved in the effects of this decision have an equal voice, and everybody has to agree in the end in order for a decision to be made. That's what consensus means. And this is really how the Iroquois government works. Okay, this is how the Iroquois Confederacy makes decisions, which we've talked about a little bit, but we're going to get into it a bit more. So my first PowerPoint question to you is, what are some examples of things that you might have to come to a consensus about just within your own family, like in your own daily life? What are some things maybe you have to come to a consensus about? And I'm going to ask you to think of 3 examples. So something that I can already think of is like, my family would always have a bit of a discussion about where to eat because we had a couple of favorite places. And so if we were ever going out for a nice family meal or something on a special occasion, we'd have to really agree on where it is that we wanted to go. And that would have to sort of be agreed upon between everybody, because otherwise someone's going to be upset and they're going to be eating something they really don't want to. So that's a good example. You can't have that one. You have to come up with 3 more of your own. So good luck on that, okay? Okay, next, let's go ahead for our next screen here. Okay, how did the 6 nations use consensus building process? And that's a trickier one, because if you have 6 whole nations and you're spread across a massive land, then how do you come to a consensus? Oh, sorry, I'm not going to put my face up for this one because I want you to be able to see this whole diagram here. So in the Grand Council, and some people have already sort of gotten a bit of a clue on this, they have split up the nations. So this is how it works right here. The Mohawk and the Seneca discuss an issue, and they make a decision by consensus. So if they're trying to make a new law or a decision about the Confederacy, first these 2 guys have to talk about it, these 2 nations, and they have to agree on what they think should happen. Once these 2 groups agree, then they move it over to the next 2. And remember, the Mohawk and the Seneca were the first to join the Confederacy, so that's why they are the people who start off the consensus, okay? Then we move on to these guys. So the Oneida and the Cayuga, they have to discuss the same issue, and they have to come to a decision by consensus, okay? And then these 4 groups get together and they talk about the decision that they've made. So if all 4 groups can sort of agree on that same decision, then they go on and they bring it to the Onondaga. And remember, this is where Tatadoha is. Tatadoha. I just had to kill a mosquito. And they confirm the decision. So if that all happens, then we move over one more, and the Mohawk announce this decision to the entire Confederacy at a Grand Council, and then action is taken on that decision. Okay, so it's a pretty cool system. This is the part about consensus that is really interesting, is that if the Mohawk and the Seneca make a decision and agree, and then we move on to the Oneida and the Cayuga, and they do not all agree, then we go down. If the Mohawk, Seneca, Oneida, and Cayuga come to different decisions, then they have to keep thinking about it. So here we go. The Onondaga will refer back to the Mohawk and Seneca, and they have to start over again. So this means that maybe they have to go back to the table and they have to talk about how they can change this law, or how they could make it more fair for everybody else, or how they could alter it a little bit to make some other groups a little bit more happy. And that is how consensus works. It's really a neat system. It really, really considers everybody's needs. Okay? Let's go to our next one. So obviously, there are some advantages and there's some disadvantages of consensus. And I want to know, if you can think of any others than this, first of all. And if you can't think of any other than this, then let's look at this list. Do you think that making decisions by consensus is a good idea? Like, if your family is deciding where to go eat, is it important that every single person gets to eat what they want that night out at the restaurant? Or is it not? If only one person doesn't want to go out for pizza, is it okay to just go out for pizza anyways? Mostly everybody's happy. The majority of people are happy. So do you think that making decisions where everybody has to agree on the same thing is a good idea? Or do you think it's okay to just go with the majority being happy? What do you think is the greatest advantage of this system where everybody has to agree on something? And what do you think is the greatest disadvantage? This is your first application question, so give that a little think for you. And remember, these are questions that you'll write out into your Word document and you'll submit. Okay. Now, this is a really, really good question. Direct democracy versus representative democracy. And we've talked about this briefly, but representative democracy, sorry, I want my face back because it makes me kind of feel like I'm chatting with you guys. Okay, so direct democracy and representative democracy are a bit different. Representative democracy means that we're going to choose somebody to speak for us. And then they're going to bring all of the thoughts that we have to a different council. So a really good example of this is our student council at CIS, right? Each class elected a person to go to student council and hear decisions and come back and inform the class about what would happen, okay? Bring concerns, bring news, that sort of thing. So that's representative democracy. You choose somebody to represent a larger group and they vote on political issues and make decisions. Direct democracy is a little bit different. It means that each person, all citizens or human beings or classmates, they vote directly on all political issues. Okay, very different systems. So my questions for this are, what type of democracy did ancient Athens use? What type of democracy did the Iroquois use? And what type of democracy does the provincial government of Alberta use? So these are the three that we've learned about. And I think that if you think through them, you'll be able to kind of decide. So as a quick little review, ancient Athens, we have citizens needing to go to the assembly, right? All of these citizens have to go to the assembly. They have to vote based on rocks or putting their hand up, because sometimes, if you remember, 6,000 people, a minimum of 6,000 people needed to be at this assembly in order for a vote to go through. So what type of democracy is that? What do we have there? Next, we have the type of democracy that the Iroquois use. So each clan sort of selects... Sorry, I've got a little rescue dog. I'll show them to you later, but they're going to town on a little rug right now. Tearing it up with its little claws. I hope you can still hear me. So the Iroquois, of course, they send a representative over, right, to the Grand Council. What type of democracy is that? And the provincial government of Alberta. I'm going to leave that one to you. I want you to really think about what type of democracy that is. Okay. I hope you can hear me past all that little scratching. I'm going to end my video there. Don't forget to have a little peek at the assignment for today. I'm actually going to pull that up just so we can chat about that really quickly. Okay, here is our assignment. So, first, using a little T-chart, one of these, I want you to list the advantages and disadvantages of using consensus as a decision-making method. And I really want you to try and turn these into your own words, okay? I know I gave you a bit of a list there. don't just copy those ones down. Transform them into your own words to really make sure you are showing me that you understand what those advantages and disadvantages are. And if you can add another few, amazing job, okay? Next, create a pop-up map that explains the role of each nation in the process of coming to a consensus. So a pop-up map, of course, would be, you're going to kind of create that chart, and then you'll have the nation's name, bloop, and you'll have a little flap that flaps up to explain what that nation does at that point, okay? Number 3, you're going to write a little letter home. You're in the Iroquois Confederacy. You've gone on this incredible time travel mission. Write a letter home telling your family about consensus, how it works, and how it showed fairness and equality amongst all of the nations, okay? These are your tasks for today. Remember, we have an optional meeting at 11 o'clock to discuss any of these things, to go through it, have a little class discussion. So hopefully I will see you there. And if you are there, I will show you the beautiful new dog that I'm fostering. And you can help come up with a name because she's actually kind of a bit of a puppy. Okay, the last thing I'm going to mention is that I am not posting the assignment tabs until after the discussion meeting, okay? I will post the assignment tabs after 11 o'clock because I really want to encourage you to come to those meetings, have some discussion, maybe change your answers a little bit, and then submit your assignment. So I'm not even going to put the assignment tab up until after that time. Okay, that's it for me. Hopefully I'll see you at 11. Don't forget the daily challenge also, people. I so loved the dance moves today. It honestly made my day. Okay, I will see you at 11. Have a great day.